This is the DUNU 242, and we're going to have a closer look at it. Let's begin. Welcome back, Audiophiles. It's me, your boy Joe, back again with another video, and this time we'll be looking at the DUNU 242. So the DUNU 242 is a new IEM off the block from DUNU, and they have two versions. They have the 242 and the 142. I'm going to be looking at the 242 version, and as you could see, this is a pretty stunning one from DUNU. And quick disclaimer, huge thanks to Sushi5 for lending me this DUNU 242 unit for review, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own, and no biases whatsoever. Do check out his channel down in the link below, and tell him I said hi. As of now, at the time of this recording, the DUNU 242 is costing at around $359. So that's how much this costs. This puts it squarely to the mid-5 region. And with all that said, let's begin with the unboxing. So starting out with the unboxing, we could see that it has a real good flair with the packaging, and this time we finally have a Husbando instead of the usual waifus. So we have a nice cool looking Chinese character, or Japanese, I can't tell. Just read that if you want. Whoever can read it, post it down in the comment what this means. But with that said, let's just get into an unboxing experience. And this one, not pretty much. It has the usual DUNU boxing, and we have some stuff down on the side. And once you open it, the IEMs will be perched here. Now you can't see the IEMs because I already have it in here, but I just wanted to give you the general idea. And inside that will be the case. I'm going to be showing you that as well. But before we get into the IEMs in the case, look at the plethora of accessories DUNU provides. DUNU is really good for the accessories bundles, and this is no different. We are having a huge set of ear tips and this and that and whatnot. In terms of accessories, we first have, I believe this is the DUNU S&S ear tips. As you can see there, we have the S&S, and then we have another set of ear tips. This is my favorite by far, the DUNU candies. I'll be showing you the DUNU candies in a minute. I'm taking the medium one, of course, but we have the DUNU candies. And what else do we have? We also have another set of ear tips, which I actually never opened, but I'll open it for the video purpose. This is the DUNU's standard ones. So yep, these are the standard ones that you usually see from DUNU, along with the offerings of candy and S&S. So, well, for $360, you would expect everything to be there, and it's all there. So that's really nice that DUNU gives 3 sets of ear tips for that purpose. And anything else, let's just have a quick look. We have a modular connection. This one's 3.5. I have the 4.4 plugged in. And what else? We have the 1/4 inch to a 3.5 jack for that purpose. And we have a cleaning brush. So you could see we had all these accessories, which is really good. I really love DUNU for the kind of accessory packaging they give. And they have this funky trading cards. This is the 242's Husbando. We also have another version of it. And we have a Chibli. Yeah, well, I guess you could collect them. I don't know if it's a collectible or if it's going to be a gotta catch 'em all style, but hey, we got some cards. I guess there's something in it. Now, with all of that out of the way, time to look at the IEMs themselves. So let's bring it in. Here is a first look at the DUNU 242. And here's the case that comes with it. And as you can see, the case is really spacious. This actually has similar casing for most of their lineup. We had cases such as this for the Keyma 2, if I recall it. So the Keyma 2 also has this kind of case. It's pretty much standard case of DUNU. Good size, good sturdiness, and I like it a lot. Now, enough said, let's finally get into the IEMs. Let's have a closer look at them. As you can see, the shells are a resin kind of shells with some metal lining. I believe that is metal, and this is resin painted shells with a layer of lacquer. And we have the 242 and DUNU written on it. Really beautiful shells. I really like the way that the contour is. It's pretty smooth all throughout. It doesn't poke the ears in any place. It's really comfortable. And as you can see, I am using the DUNU candy medium size tips for that. And the cable, let's begin with that. The cable is really good. This one is the right one, as you can see with the red marking. This is the left one. And the cable is one of the best stock cables I ever seen in any brand. And once you go down from the cable, you see a simple chin slider. It's a bit on the plasticky side, but it's good. It holds its position really well, and I think that's pretty fine. And when you keep going, you see a really good Y split with the branding on it. I really hoped that the chin slider matches the aesthetics of the Y-split, but it's not. It's just a simple acrylic chin slider for that matter. And once you move on, you see the braided cables, and then finally finishing off to a 3.5 or a 4.4 based on what you're using. And the good thing about this particular bad boy is that this is a screw-on type, so it's not a friction-based one. And this one will stay in place once you lock it in and tightly screw it on. So you can switch this between the 4.4 and the 3.5 if you want it. As for me, the cable gets full points because it's really comfortable, it's well behaved, and it's very nice to use for my case. In terms of overall fit and comfort, this had really good fit for me. I had no issues whatsoever. The fit was really neat. The seal was also good. And I was able to wear this for long periods of time, whether for music or for even using on standard calls and such. So there's no issues with fit and comfort as per se. Now with the design and accessories out of the way, it's time to move on to the sound impression. Moving on to the sound impressions, it's time to look at the frequency response graph of the DN242. Here you can see the frequency response graph. As usual with all of my videos, the frequency response graph is not the be all end all of IEMs. There are certain factors which cannot be captured in the frequency response graph, so take whatever I say with a huge block of salt. With that said, let's look at the graph. As you can see, it's a pretty smooth graph overall. I would call this more towards a W, but then it's a very smooth graph where it has a slight speck of a sub bass, which then goes to very clean mids, and then it just trickles over to an okay sense of vocals, and then it has a pretty nice finishing with a good sense of air and presence. So this is a very smooth, mellow type of sound signature in which there's no peakiness, there's no sharpness. It's an overall smooth signature for those relaxed listening sessions. That's what I could infer from the DN242, because this was a really comfortable set for nighttime sessions, and when you're listening to music, it has a very good sense of bass and rhythm overall. The bass is not the super thumpy bass as I would expect from bass head levels, but it is a bass that is well done. The bass feels good, the mid bass slam is there. It's more mid oriented than it is supposed to be bass oriented or treble oriented, so it's the mid focused IEM. And with that, the vocals, they're pretty good. It doesn't pop out as much as you would expect, but the vocal has good clarity overall. It doesn't pop out to the extent that you would need it to in terms of certain musics. I do feel like it is getting a little bit muffled with the overall mid region, but the overall presence of the vocals is nice. And in terms of any peakiness or sibilance factor, I didn't feel any sibilance whatsoever on the DN242. They were extremely comfortable for usage on long periods of time, and no issues whatsoever with regards to any high frequency instruments, any sharpness, or anything of the matter. So that's a good thing on the 242. Moving to the specifications, the 242 is actually a 2DD, 4BA, and 2 Micro-Planar IEM, which makes it a Tribrid. And in terms of impedance, this thing has a 35 ohm impedance with 110 dB in terms of sensitivity. So this thing can be run off pretty well in terms of all the gear. I have tried it myself with the Hibby R82. I have also ran this on the Gustard stack and no issues whatsoever. This thing ran like a breeze in all of them. Of course, they are expensive sets and they are powerful, but I've also tried this with simple dongles and that was even able to run this off pretty well. So you won't need super high power gear when it comes to a 242, but as usual, the kind of separation and the staging you get will be better in terms of what gear you're using. So keep that in mind. This thing is not a very power hungry set at all. So that's pretty good. So with all that said, let's move on to the song impressions. So kicking things off with the song impressions, as usual, all the songs that I'll be listening to, I'll be giving to you in the form of an Apple Music playlist that you could check out down in the descriptions below, so you can listen to the song that I'm listening to. And to start off, we're going to be listening to Mercredi by Pierre de Meyer, and let me give you my impressions on this. So let's begin. So one of the things that you can pick up really well with Mercredi is that it's a very wide-oriented song. This music instruments really comes around you and gives that enveloping sensation. And the good thing about this is that it has been rendered really well with the DN242. The bass rhythm, everything is picked up really well. The bass is pretty clean. Like I said, it doesn't have the thumpiness that you would expect, but it is done in a good manner. I would not say that the bass is absent, that's for certain. There is good bass. It's not the thumping bass, but it's good bass, and the mid bass is really nice in that as well. Coming to the mid region, the mids are really clean, although I do still feel that it's going towards a warm orientation. It's not the lean mids, but it's more warmer mids, and with that, the vocals, Pierre's vocals are really good, and he has a nice, good, deep voice. So that is picked up really well with the DN242. It has clean voice, which is, like I said, not as popped up as you would expect as compared to other IEMs, but it does have a good, lush voice that is picked up good and well. But it is mixing with the bits a little bit, but not to the extent that I would hate it. But it is a kind of a sense, not as much as you would expect it to be. And coming to the hi-hats, the tings, the high frequency instruments are all rendered really well, very smooth from my preference. So I really like the way that the DN242 really handled that. I really enjoyed how smooth and how clear it is, despite the fact that it is not as sharp at all, really. So the details on it and the smoothness factor is something I really like about the DN242. So overall, really good song, done actually really well for my taste on the DN242. The next song that we're going to look into is Tribrid by The Synaptic, which is a really good musical orientation. I would say it's more closer to rap than it is a song, but a really good song nonetheless. So in this song, the bass is really good. It's a very deep sub bass, and that is actually picked up really well with the DN242. It's not being over bloated. It is very clear. Like I said, not to the thumping level, but it is very, very audible, very clean, clear bass in that. And that bass is pretty well separated with the mid region. And as usual, the mids are really good. I do feel that extra note weight. I would say that note weight means more closer to the bass region than to the treble region. So that's really good in the DN242. The vocals in here is male vocals, but then with the higher frequency as compared to the previous song. But even then, it is in a good separation. I would not call it to say it's popping. Again, it's not a popping vocal, but it is a good separation on the vocal aspects. And the vocals are very clean, very clear. And that is something I like about the DN242, where it is clear vocals and it's not merging too much with the mid region. Although it is on the warmer side and it's tilting towards the mids, I would not consider it to be something that is mixed in the mids. And the high-end instruments, there's a good snare drum that is present in here. If that snare drum is rendered in any kind of IEM which is detail focused, that snare drum does tend to get a little bit too spicy for me. But in this case, in this IEM, it is rendered really well, very smoothly done. That is what I really like about the DN242, the way it's doing that treble smoothing to a very good extent, despite having micro-planars and BA drivers. It has been tuned so well that it doesn't give an over sharp factor in the song. So overall, really good song, done really well with the DN242 for that matter. So what are my overall thoughts and impressions on the DUNU DN242? Well, first and foremost, the fit is a very good fit for me. I had no issues with fit whatsoever, and DUNU being DUNU, its packaging is god tier, where it's giving you everything you need in terms of accessories, such that the cable is awesome, the ear tip selection is also perfect, and you don't even need to worry because the cable is modular cable, so you're good to go. Once you get this pack, I really don't think you need any kind of extra third-party equipment for the ear tips, cables, and the such. DUNU got you covered from head to toe. And with that, the sound impressions is also really good. I would say that this is more catered towards something like the Performer 8. It's similar in that sense where it's mid-focused, but I would say that the Performer 8 and any kind of mid-centric IEMs would focus a lot on the vocal range, but this one it's focusing towards the bass range. So it is a mid-centric IEM with an extra bass essence to it, which I do like about it. It does not make me to feel the lack of bass, but it is something that you bass heads will think like, okay, I would need some more extra thump in my case. But for all-round purpose enjoyment, this is a wonderful IEM. I had no qualms with it. The top ends were really done well for me. It has the details that I would want, but it doesn't have the spiciness that I don't want. So it's a very good IEM in the terms of top ends, which is smooth, well detailed, but doesn't give you that sharpness or peakiness or sibilance in any factor. So with all that said, I think this is a perfect IEM for a package in this mid-fi segment, because considering this is $350, it does have everything that you need for the offering of a $350. So with all that said, as what rating I would give to the DUNU, as you can see by now, this DUNU would get an easy 5 out of 5 for me. So with all that said, that's my review of the DUNU 242. Do let me know your thoughts and impressions down at the comments below. Are you having the DUNU 242? and are you having the 142? Which one do you like? Do let me know that as well down in the comments below. And as usual, if you do like my reviews, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like my reviews, give me a thumbs down. I don't know. And this is Joe, and I would see you in the next review. Peace.